Hello. All three podcasts for lecture number 3 come from the video Revising Prose by Richard Lanham of UCLA. I first saw this video in 1984 when I was a freshman in college, and it had a huge impact on how I conceived of what I was doing when I was writing. When I became an instructor, I looked all over for it and couldn't find it. It wasn't available. It had pretty much gone underground. I ended up calling Los Angeles and talking to Richard Lanham's widow and giving her a $30 check, and she sent me the copy of the video that I'm going to show you here today. You'll find the graphics a little bit outdated. This is not modern Hollywood epic. This is Land of the Lost. It was made in the mid-1970s, after all. But the concepts that Dr. Lanham introduces are among the best that I've ever seen for the revision process and for making your writing clear and accessible and jargon-free and making the best academic presentation that you can. So watch these podcasts, and then I'm going to ask you in Lecture 4 to start putting them in place in your own writing. Sit back and enjoy.
The official style has been around a long time. It is the native language of bureaucracy and always has been. No self-respecting civil servant in ancient Rome, for example, would ask for a bribe. Of course not. But a little guest present, a sportula or little basket, would certainly oil the bureaucratic machinery. A provincial Greek bureaucrat living in the Egyptian town of Oxyrhynchus several centuries before Christ would write not, "I live in Oxyrhynchus," but "I am a resident of that most splendid of splendid towns, Oxyrhynchus." And the grain tax he extorted from the peasants was called the happy shipment. For the official stylist, impersonality comes as naturally as fancy names for plain objects. Never say, "I think he's an idiot," or "I fired him," but rather, appropriate action was initiated on the basis of systematic discussion, indicating that the termination process would be appropriate. First, put everything in the passive voice. Not, "I decided," but "it was decided by me." And then get the me out and let the action float in an impersonal construction. "It was decided that." Above all, the official style is a noun style, emphasizing stasis, inaction, rather than action. The official writer makes all his natural verbs into nouns, and then uses a form of to be, the weakest, most lifeless, colorless verb, so as to give the sentence grammatical completeness. Thus, this sentence needs an active verb, becomes this sentence is in need of an active verb. He plays energetically, becomes there is a great deal of energy in his play. When you hide the action in a noun like this, you lose track of who is doing what to whom, or who is kicking who. Instead of Jim kicks Bill, you get there is a kicking interaction between Jim and Bill. Displacing the action from verb to noun like this brings several inevitable consequences. First, the action is blurred. In the first sentence, the action is concentrated in a single word, and we get to that word quickly. In the second, the energy in play is smeared across the whole sentence. From there is to play runs a long, rolling letdown. Second, the sentence takes the form of is plus a string of prepositional phrases. And third, the sentence takes a long time to get going. You're tired out before you get to a word that really matters. And so we have an official style that is euphemistic, a noun style rather than a verb style, a style that hides its action in passive and impersonal constructions, that takes a long time to get going, and that is built up from is plus strings of prepositional phrases. This is the style that was waiting when modern science, and especially 20th century social science, came along looking for a special language. Scientists wanted a language that, one, welcomed a special terminology, and there was the bureaucratic habit of euphemism ready at hand. Two, they wanted a language that was built on concepts, and there was the noun style ready to hand. Three, They wanted a language that above all sounded scientific, impersonal, detached, implying all the chilly yet ineluctable truths of physics. And again, there was the official style's wonderfully welcoming impersonality, a style in which things happen, but people never get in the way. Finally, the scientist wanted a style which simply gave the facts. And again, the official style's favorite verb habit, is plus prepositional phrases, was right there all along, simply telling us that something exists. And it was easy to add more data, just stick on an extra prepositional phrase. Thus, the full modern official style came, saw, and conquered, or rather, deemed the conquering mode to be appropriate. It has, God help us, become the predominant style of our time. Now, how do you revise it into English? First, circle the prepositions. Next, circle the is forms. Then ask yourself, who's kicking who? Where is the real action in the sentence? Who's doing what to whom? When you found the kicking action, put it in a simple active verb. And finally, get the sentence going fast. No long wind-ups. Here are some examples from a recent sociobiology text. There is a good deal of circumstantial evidence in support of this scheme. First, the prepositions. Notice how the rhythm of the sentence immediately gets monotonous? I'll exaggerate the effect a little with my voice to underline it for you. There is a good deal of circumstantial evidence in support of this scheme. It sounds like a list. See what I mean? The sentence comes to look and sound like a laundry list. Now for step 2 of the paramedic method. Find the is. Notice what a lame beginning the there is formula provides for a sentence. The perfect opening formula for a laundry list. Guaranteed monotony. There is a good deal of circumstantial evidence in support of this scheme. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, and so on to slumberland. Once you choose the there is plus prepositional phrases formula, you are locked into this guaranteed monotony. How do you get out? Well, ask, rule 3 of the paramedic method, who's kicking who? Obviously, the kicker is circumstantial evidence. Let's begin there. What is this evidence doing? Where is the action? Buried way down there in support, of course. We'll disinter it. All right, we've now followed rule 4 of the paramedic method. And who's the kickee, the direct object on the receiving end? This scheme. Now, how about the long wind-up opening? There is a good deal of. No need for there is any longer, since we have a real live verb in supports. A good deal of is a long-winded way to say much. Now, the completed revision reads, much circumstantial evidence supports this scheme. We have now complied with Rule 5 of the paramedic method. Start fast. The official style loves the mindless introduction. Here are some more slow wind-ups from the author of our specimen sentence. The mindless introduction does not really say anything. It amounts to a high-class version of, a fill-in grunt while you figure out what to say. Meanwhile, your sentence, that virgin rocket, has fired, lifted tentatively a few inches off the ground, fizzled, and fallen back dead on the launching pad. The official style loves verbal formulas, and we can see a good example of it here. The blah blah is that opening. We've gotten rid of the fizzled rocket opening of our specimen sentence, and so the final before and after scene looks like this. Well, well, 6 words instead of 13, a large factor of 54%. The official style, whether written by a student or a licensed bureaucrat, generally runs to a large factor of 50%, plus or minus 5. In your revision, you can use this as a goal, if not an infallible rule. If you haven't cut the sentence in half, bash on.